Good evening, everyone. I'm just gonna give a few moments to let people get into the call. So it's a good time if you want to maybe get a glass of water or get a notepad if you're taking some notes, and we'll get started in just a minute or two. So thank you all for coming in. I know it's been a busy fall semester, a busy season of the year. So I appreciate you guys making space in your calendar to attend the call tonight. Let me see if anyone else is coming in. No, I think we're good. So just remember, everyone, that this call is being recorded. I'm going to let someone else in real quick. Um, for any new parents that don't know who I am, my name is Shalisa Bynum. I am an assistant director in the Office of Student Leadership and Engagement. Um, our office has recently undergone some restructuring, so we have a lot of touch points with the student body. We work with the international students, transfer students, first generation students, student government, all sorts of student clubs and registered student organizations fall under our office. So it's a very busy office. We have a lot of student workers and several folks on staff. And Bulldog Parent University is one of the initiatives that falls under our office. So welcome in if you're new. Tonight we have Ms. Carla Miller. She is Director of Residential Life and Housing on campus. So she'll be taking the floor in a couple minutes, talking about move-out procedures since we're in that time of the year. She'll share a little bit of information about that. And if you have questions, you'll be free to ask her those questions at the end. So, Miss Miller, I'll let you go ahead, take the floor, introduce yourself, take your time. We have plenty of time tonight, so I'll turn it all over to you.
All right, thank you very much. My name's Carla Miller, and I am the Director of Residential Life and Housing. And so I don't have a formal presentation. I would like to answer any questions that parents may have, but I'll start off with our winter break information because that's really the most relevant, besides a lot of other things that I've seen parents ask questions about. But this is probably the most relevant right now, our winter break housing. You know that Residence Life does not close for Thanksgiving, but the staff offices or all the administrative offices will be closed. So if your student is still on campus or off campus for Thanksgiving, just know that administrative offices will be closed, cafeteria will still be open. So then our next break will be winter break. And that's really the most important one. And then a lot of times it seems like parents are kind of don't understand the process. And so I'll explain it to you. Students do not have to move out of the residence halls. And so when we're talking about winter break, we're only talking about students staying on campus. That's all of the residence halls, and that includes Normal Hills because Normal Hills apartment community is considered on campus. They have to leave as well. And so what we just ask students to clean up. If we don't ask them to clean up, they won't clean up. If we don't ask them to clean out their refrigerators, they won't do it. Right. So we ask them to clean up. And when we say restore the rooms like they were when they checked in, what we really mean is that students secure their items, remove things off of the floor, put your things on top of the bed. And there's a reason why I say that. Is because I've been in housing for a number of years now, and it never fails. It just depends on the break weather. We've had instances where pipes burst and it the water went everywhere. But if a student takes everything off the floor, then that's less items, that are damaged or, you know, water gets on and all that kind of stuff. So that's why I like to tell people, hey, clean your rooms up, remove everything, take everything out of your refrigerators, remove things off the floor, because during a break, anything can happen. And so really we're asking your student to do those things so that their items are not destroyed. All right. And so that's why we ask students to take everything off of the floor. We ask students to turn their keys back in. There's a reason. You're checking out. You need to turn your key in. If they don't turn it in, it's a fine. We don't like giving out fines, but a lot of the things that we do in residential life and housing, we do them to kind of curb certain behaviors. We don't want to give out fines, but we do give a fine out if you don't turn your key in. You can't mail it back. And we don't want you to mail the key back. We want you to check out properly and turn the key in. Therefore, you don't have to mail it back. And then, you would be surprised how many students smoke weed in their room. So if the room smells like weed, then your student is going to get a fine. Oh, not my student. Oh, yes. A lot of students smoke weed, believe it or not. And so if we walk in the room and it smells like weed, we get in the fine. It's period. As simple as that. Now, that's pretty much it. The checkout. It's pretty simple. Clean up. Just clean up and secure your items. And a lot of times your students are not going to leave anything that's really important to them. Their phone, that's expensive. Their laptop, they're going to take those things home. Their TV, most of the time you could either, if you can't put it in a closet and lock it up, you can put it up above or off, where it won't get damaged, or put it on the bed. Right? There are some things that you can lock up. The other thing that I want to say is our off-campus apartment communities, they'll remain open. That's, those students don't have to leave. So we don't, we really don't have to address that. But if a parent has a question about it, please, please do ask. And then the other thing, when we made this flyer, at the time, we did not have the returning dates for students. And so our move-in date is going to be January the 7th. Although the calendar says January the 5th and the 6th, that's not when we want your student to return, because that's when I return. That's when everybody returns. And so we really need to have an opportunity to the residence halls are in, nothing has happened. And it gives us time to manage any issues that we may have before your student comes back. So the return is going to be January the 7th. We'll update those dates on our academic calendar, and we'll also update it on the information that's being sent out again weekly. And then classes also begin January the 8th. So that's when they begin. They begin in the middle of the week. And so if students can't make it on that Wednesday, and then you can't bring your student back until the weekend, that's okay. It's we're okay with that. You just, kind of let your hall director know, or the student RA know when they're coming back. But if your student decides not to come back, and we want all our students to come back, but if they decide not to come back, it is a good idea. And even if you are not sure, even if you have a balance and you're not sure if you're going to be able to pay this balance, what I see every year when the year changes over, people are just not sure about what they're going to do. You really need to know what you're going to do, because when you or your student don't decide to take all their things with them, say in December, and then January turns over, and you still don't know if your student is coming back, or if you have a balance and you don't know how you're going to pay this balance. What happens is, if your students' items are still in the residence halls, you have to pay for the time your students' items are in the residence hall, whether or not your student is there or not. And so, it's really a good idea to, maybe kind of figure out what you're going to do so that you won't incur additional charges. I see it all the time, and it's nothing I can really do about it. because I can't tell you what to do. Those are decisions that you have to make as it relates to whether or not your student is going to return, or if you have a balance and you have to figure out, well, how am I going to get this balance paid so that the student can have classes for the next semester. So, we always put on our flyer, if your student is not going to return in the spring, then complete the intent to vacate so we can take you off our roster and your student won't incur additional charges. I really don't know how to say it any better than that. I don't want to be disrespectful when I say it, because I know, education is expensive. And we're all trying to figure out, well, how are we going to pay this bill? Believe me, I know. I've been there, done that one. And so um, that's the best way I can say it. Just kind of make some decisions about what you're going to do. I see it every year. People think they're coming back. They can't afford to come back. Once they get home, they can't afford to come back. And I have to charge the student for the time they stayed in housing until they can, get their things. And so those dates that the university decides to, there's a refund policy, and those are the dates that we follow, and that's on the comptroller's website, and those dates that we follow. So that's basically about the winter break housing. If you guys have any other questions as it relates to that, I'd be glad to answer them.
Yeah, thank you, Miss Miller, for going over that procedure with us. While some of the parents may be thinking of their question or putting it in the chat, I know we had a parent pre-submit a couple questions, so I'm going to put those in the chat so everyone can see them.
Okay.
And you may have answered some of these already, but she's asking, does the student need to completely vacate their dorm room, which you already went over? Can they have parental/family assistance with moving out? And what's the earliest move out date?
Absolutely. Parents can help their student move out. I mean, you don't have to move everything out, right? You
Mhm.
just have to pack everything, put everything up and put it away. Leaving for the break is really up to your student schedule. Like most professors after Thanksgiving, they're giving their exams online. I'm not supposed to say that, but a lot of professors do, and a lot of times students don't come back after Thanksgiving. So it really depends on your student's professor. And I would ask your student, what is your professor going to do? How are your finals? Because really after Thanksgiving, it's only a week, maybe 2 weeks, maybe, that's left in the semester. And most of the times, I'm looking at my calendar, most of the time the professor is finishing up online. All the finals are taken online. So I would ask your student, hey, have you talked to your professor? What's the rest of the semester looking like? When you come home for the break, is that it? Do I have to come back and get you? So I would ask that. Sometimes that happens. It just depends. So depending upon your student schedule, you can pick your student up as early as you like. You don't have to wait till Friday, December the 12th. You don't have to wait. So we just say, on or before, December the 12th, which is Friday. And even if you can't get your student on that Friday, if you let the hall director know, we'll work with you if you need to pick your student up by Saturday or Sunday. But if you pick them up on Monday, see, it's extra charges start. And we don't want extra charges to start rolling in on a person's account. But you need to let someone know if you can't pick them up by Friday. It's okay. It's okay. We're flexible. If you can pick them up by Saturday or Sunday, that's okay. You just need to let the hall director know.
Yep, that's been my experience too, working with the international students.
Mhm.
A lot of them have started leaving this week actually because
Okay.
Thanksgiving
Okay.
week, but they do just work it out with their professors, and the professors accommodate because their needs are a little different anyways. So,
Mhm. Yep.
uh, but at this time, does any other parent in the call have a question that they want to drop in the chat, and we can go over your question while Miss Miller's still here? Are there any other questions? Not seeing anything.
Okay.
Well, what I'll do is I'll just remind you guys that this is actually our last BPU call of the semester. We won't do one in December again because it's basically only a week of school. So the next call will be at the start of the spring semester, probably the third or fourth week of January. The dates have not been decided yet. We'll get to that probably after Thanksgiving. So you can just be watching the parent portal like always for when the next call will be. Also, I wanted to remind you guys, and I'll put actually the link to it in the chat if you want it. But we now have a YouTube channel where I post the recordings of these calls. So if you miss a call, if you can't come one evening, you can always go back to the YouTube channel and just copy it and rewatch it there on your own time. So I'm going to put that in the chat. Whoops, I didn't copy. Hold on. And trying to think, what else do the parents need to know tonight? Um, I believe that's really about it. I'm gonna copy this and drop this in here so you guys have it. Okay.
Also, if the parents have questions, and I don't know if any of these parents have utilized the parent portal. You can email parents at aamu.edu. Any question, doesn't matter what the question is. I'm the person that answers those questions. I reach out to my colleagues. I try to find out the answers, and I respond back to the parent. So it doesn't have. Even though I work in housing, questions don't have to be housing related. They can be anything, and I'll find that answer and I'll respond back to you. And so if any of you are not part of the parent portal, you should join the parent portal. There are some new things coming with the parent portal. There are some new things that I'm going to try to do, have some discussion boards. They will not be like Facebook. I'm gonna tell you now. I'm not gonna do Facebook parent group. That's not what we're gonna do. But we're gonna have discussion boards, and the discussion boards are intended to answer questions. If you can't reach somebody, if you need a question answered by some, about some a topic, we're gonna be here for you to answer them. So I at least want to let you know, but that probably won't push that out until next year sometime, probably the new academic year, because it's going to take some time to do these discussions because I want to have buy-in across campus. If there's a question about financial aid, I would like to have a moderator for financial aid, for the registrar's office. When your student graduates, you want to know information about graduation. Oftentimes, students don't relay that information to their parent about graduation. I see it all the time. You have all these people come to graduation and they don't have a clear bag. And then they gotta turn around and walk back to their car and take their purse back. So it's things like that that make a difference in knowing some information. So and that's the next thing that's coming up. Not only is winter break coming up, right before that is graduation, and so there are just some details about graduation that parents need to know. And so I hope I can push something out so parents will be in the know about graduation. And if your student hadn't received their diploma, all students have to be cleared for graduation. And so if they miss some of those steps, they won't receive their diploma in the mail. So, you know, just hopefully we can push out more information to parents just so you'll know and you can better coach your student. The more you know, the more you can coach your student on what's going on.
Yep, that's right. And like Ms. Miller said, the parent portal is probably the best place to go if you have like a question about something. The parents at AAMU email. I know trying to email me is not always going to work because of how many other things I have going on. It may take me over a day, maybe 2 days to respond. But if you go to these other resources that are more designed for parents, I think that would work out more efficiently for you.
Mhm.
So I just wanted to mention that.
Yep.
Do you have anything else, Miss Miller?
That's it. Tips on asking. So this is a question. Tips on asking professor to allow A test online. My daughter has one teacher for in person, and we live in DC.
I mean, I would say just email and ask if there's any way they can accommodate you being out of state. And typically, the professors, in my experience, the professors have worked with students.
Oh, so I guess the parent is saying that the student can is not an online student, but a student is probably all the other tests are probably online except for one test. I would just ask, I would just ask the professor,
Mhm.
is it any way I can take my final online? I'm in DC. It's expensive to come back and forth. And just be honest. It's expensive. As a parent, I don't want to pay for no ticket for Thanksgiving and for winter break if I don't have to. If I have to hustle it up, I'll hustle up the money. But if I don't have to. And if you got one professor out of all the rest of them, come on. I would just ask. It don't hurt. What they gonna say? Either yes or no.
Yeah, that's
It's
what.
either a yes or no. I would ask because a lot of professors are doing it. Everyone doesn't do it, but you know, fair share does.
Mhm. Yep,
Yep.
I agree. That's been my experience too. If you just ask and see what happens, they'll probably work with you. So,
Yeah.
um, good luck with that. I hope that works out. Does
Do
anyone
too.
have a
I
question?
do too. I hope that work. I'm be praying for you, girl. I hope that work out. Everybody want to go home for Thanksgiving, and then everybody want to go home for winter break. And if you can go home for Thanksgiving and don't have to come back, then the break is longer. It just works out.
Hmm.
And
Yeah.
when we were in COVID, the students went home for Thanksgiving and didn't come back, and it worked out so well. And I have been pushing for that, to happen again. But I'm not on the academic side. I can only ask that they're not gonna listen to me, but it works out. It really works out. But you really have to plan it because we have to have 15 weeks of instruction. And so that means we would have to start school earlier in August in order for that to happen. And so it's a lot of preparation that needs to happen in order to do it. But I think it works out if you can go home for Thanksgiving and not come back until January.
So
And then that means I get a break. Ding.
we just had another question pop through.
Mhm.
Are there opportunities to change rooms or dorms after break for next semester?
So it's possible. I'll say this: we're booked. When I tell you we don't have no room, no flexibility, we don't have none. But there's always instances where people don't come back. And so we just won't know and this is always a difficult time for people to come in the spring because we don't know what we don't know until people move out. We don't know. And so we'll have a better idea in the spring. If your student wants, everybody want a room by themselves. Now, it's not always possible.
Mhm.
It's not always possible. We just don't have enough single rooms to accommodate everyone's preference. Right? So we just have a few of them. But if some rooms come available, I have no idea where they will be. But it will be in the spring if we know anything, you
So
know.
that's
So
just
we
to
try.
see what happens. Is that right?
I would just talk to the hall director and also because your hall director, they're gonna know. And then also I would talk to Mr. Richardson, Mr. Eric Richardson. He's our housing coordinator. And so again, we won't know until students start checking out.
Mhm.
Then because we're telling our students, hey, let your hall director know if you're not coming back. Then the hall director should kind of have an idea if someone's not coming back. And then what we do like to do is consolidate. If somebody want to move, they can move if we have a spot.
Mhm.
But right now we don't have anything. And if everyone decides to come back in the spring, we just won't have the space.
Yeah, that's a fair point too, because we did take on a lot of extra students this semester. And I know your team was really swamped and busy. So I mean, I think it's fair that we have to kind of just wait and see what happens
Yeah.
in the spring before we can really answer that question. So,
Yeah.
um, are there any other questions for Ms. Miller before we start wrapping up the call? Feel free to put them in the chat. We're happy to get your question answered because again, we're not going to have a call in next month in December. So if you have anything you need to ask, now is really the last time before the new year.
Hmm. Or just, again, email parents at aamu.edu. It looks like we have a question, maybe.
We do. When will the dorms under renovation open? Hmm.
So the two residence halls that are under renovation, they're male residence halls. And so they will open the last I heard, well, I've been given multiple dates, but they'll definitely open up in the fall, right? But they're slated to release them by January 15th.
Mhm.
Then at that time, when they release them at January 15th, then that gives us the green light for us to have our furniture installed. And so that's going to take a while. So, that probably won't be, I don't know, but it probably won't be finished until February or March before, you
Yeah.
know, anything could happen with those two residence halls. And we'll only have between the two residence halls 147 spaces. So those two residence halls will now have single rooms. Morris Hall will have single bathroom in their single room, but Stevens Hall will still have the traditional style bathroom.
And the Morris Hall is up on the hill, kind of where the Chase Road entrance is.
Not that close. Morris and Stevens are next door to each other, and you have Morris Stevens, and then you have Foster.
Oh, okay, okay, yeah.
Foster is right there near Chase.
Mhm.
So Morris and Stevens are right next to each other.
Okay, all right. Just so people know
Hmm.
where they're located.
Hmm.
That was a good question. Does anyone else have a question about dorms, about procedures, moving out, moving in? I'm not seeing anything.
And hopefully we'll have good weather in January.
Mhm.
January, weather is unpredictable,
Mhm.
right? And so, this is one of the things I wanted to share with you guys. Parents, again, the weather is unpredictable. And if something happens and the electricity goes out and the heat goes out, it's possible. It's possible in your home, it's possible in the residence halls. I would pack, I would get Santa Claus to get my child a heated blanket for January and February. I sure would put that on the list of the things that you want to buy your daughter or your son a blanket because I bought my daughter one.
Mhm.
And I would bring a heater. But
Mhm.
this is the caveat to the heater. Certain residence halls can't manage the heater. Hopkins can't manage it. It's going to trip the breaker every time. But if you have a heater that's low wattage, if it tips over, it will turn off. It needs to have these safety measures because you know how our students are. They're not like us. They're careless. And so what we don't want is a fire to happen. But I would send my daughter or son with some resources in the event they need them.
Mhm.
That's what I did for mine, even though I'm not supposed to tell y'all that because I just had a conversation about it. But see, y'all few that's on here, it's not gonna hurt anything if y'all bring a heater or a heated blanket. But I am going to send something out in the parent portal, just some suggestions of how to be winter ready. I guess you call it winter ready or whatever, because we never know what could happen. Anything can happen. And when those things happen like that, it really affects us in the residence hall. Now, Aramark says, and let me say this: Aramark manages maintenance. Housing doesn't manage maintenance. We don't fix nothing. We don't we don't do anything like that. But we coordinate with Aramark, right? And so far, anything that needed to be changed out they've already done it. So we shouldn't have any large outages as it relates to heat.
Mhm.
but things can happen. It could be one unit that's not working, you know. So, you know, we do have heaters to assist until the heat is back on. But, you know, just know things happen. And we hope that we'll be good this winter. This time we don't think it's going to be a bad winter, but I don't know. I can't tell the future. If I could, I'd be rich. I would have already won the lottery, and I might not be talking to y'all right now
Yep.
if I could tell y'all the future, right? But I'm crossing my fingers and I'm hoping that we'll have mild winters, a mild winter this year, and we won't, you know, have a lot of issues like we did 2 years ago. Like we didn't know we was gonna have that ice storm and you know and out all week. Who would have thunk? But we did, and so we didn't have that this year. And so next year, who knows? You know what may happen. So, I would just say send your student with some, you know, with some resources to assist with that.
Yeah, and I was going to mention about the ice because I know ice has happened. What did it happen this past year too? I think we had some.
Wasn't this year? It was last year. 'Cause I remember last year. Martin Luther King. Martin Luther King holiday was on a Monday. And the weather, they said, oh, it's going to be some ice. And, you know, we thought, oh, it's just going to be one day. And it ended up being the whole entire week.
Yes.
Oh, my God.
And I'm sure
Okay.
that put a wrench in all the plans.
Yes.
And
And
I was,
so the other thing that housing will do is we'll send out these micro surveys. The micro survey meaning is a little short survey, and we'll say, "Hey, you got heat in your room? Your lights out?" We want to know what's going on because that lets us know right quick, you know, if something's going on, right? So we know if the student doesn't have any lights, if their toilet is, you know, clogged up, or there's no heat. So we send those micro surveys out. Sometimes students respond with some crazy responses and not the response that we need. And so parents, you know, just talk to your students and just know that housing is going to send out, especially during the wintertime. We're gonna definitely like beef them up. Like, hey, do you have heat? Do you have lights? Do you have? And they should tell you their experience this past semester that we've sent them out. But when we know we're having some bad weather, they'll go out just a little bit more often, so we can try to catch some things before it's too late.
yep, that's good advice. And I was going to mention to everyone too, I used to live in South Louisiana for 10 years, and one year there was a random ice storm. It looked like Iceland in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, and I didn't have proper shoes on, and there was like a whole like ice skating rink basically right outside my door, and I slipped and fell on ice, and it's no joke. So I would also recommend if there's ice happening in Huntsville, proper shoes with good
Mm-hmm.
clothes. That's really what you need because I could have cracked my head open on this ice. It's not a, so
Yep.
that's something you might want to put on your list of supplies for winter
Yep.
release. Just want to suggest that. Anything else from parents, from Ms. Miller? Any other questions? I don't think we have anything. So I'll just wish everybody a happy Thanksgiving. We'll see y'all next year in January. Please remember to be looking at the YouTube channel if you missed a call from this semester. I'll have that updated before the end of the year with last month's call and this one. And again, just be going to the parent portal or the parents at aamu.edu if you have other things that pop into your mind uh, before the end of the semester. So, Ms. Miller, you have any last words for everybody?
No, I hope you guys have a safe and peaceful break. I have to say safe and peaceful because everybody's life ain't peaceful and everybody's life ain't safe. And so I always say have a safe and definitely say it to my students because I say, oh, please be safe this weekend, right? I want them to be safe. But yeah, I hope your holidays are safe and they're peaceful. And we look forward to your students, you know, coming back when they leave. We want them to come back. And although I gave you the parent portal email, my email address is Carla with a K, carla.miller@aamu.edu. I can't help you if I don't know what's going on.
Yep, and I'll put it in the chat. for everyone.
And so, if there's something going on in the residence hall, your hall director is your first contact. But if for some reason you can't get in touch with them, then email me. Let me help you with your situation. It got to be a reasonable situation to help you with, right? But let me help you. Let me help you. So, that's what I'm here for. I'm here to assist, right? And so, reach out to me if you have some issues that arise with your student. It don't matter what it is. It could be housing, it could be anything. I'm here to assist.
Yep, that's good advice.
Huh?
So again, everyone, be safe, be peaceful, as Ms. Miller said. Enjoy your Thanksgiving. I hope you get time with your students and have some good family and friend time. And we'll see you guys next year. I can't believe I'm saying that already, but that's what it is.
Yeah.
Um, I hope you all have a good night. Thank you for coming in.
All right. Thank you for guys for attending.
Good night.